If you gonna tell a story, come with some attitude, man.
Miles Davis. My name's Dave Braden, Rolling Stone magazine. I'm here to do your comeback story.
Okay, move back a little bit.
Yeah.
So what was it about Miles Davis? And I call this the anti-biopic. This is not a traditional Hollywood linear kind of biopic.
Well, that was, a lot of my interest in doing it. If I was going to, do a story about an artist like Miles Davis, I wanted it to really feel like something that he would do were he to be working in this medium. So, my marching orders were always from his own words, don't repeat yourself, do it different, do the next thing, don't do the last thing, and really just wanted to approach it from a very creative aspect and not, as you said, some sort of cradle to grave or cliff notes of the highlights and lowlights of Miles Davis' life. When you look at the research, there's this period of time where someone who had been so prolific, from the age of 18, basically 17 years old, until he reaches this period in 1975 where he just stops. And so for me, that downbeat was one of the most interesting aspects about this voice. So this period of time where he was very quiet and wasn't producing was just, as a storyteller, I go, what's that about? And that just became the point of departure for us and the place where we thought we could really try to get into his mind and try to get into just sort of the internal workings of this man.
Francis loves Chopin.
Yeah, she looks like a classic chick.
It's all we ever play at the house, classical music. Chopin, Stravinsky. We throw on some Ravel. I studied all them cats, man. Broke down their compositions. These revolutionaries, innovators, pushing back at that standard classical bag. Chopin. It's all about improvisation.
Who did you work with in preparing this movie musically for you?
A couple of guys. A guy who does the sound for Miles that's on the soundtrack is a trumpet player named Keon Harold, and he's amazing. And Wynton gave me the trumpets that I use, that I play, and he gave me a lot of pointers too. But Fernando Pullum was my sort of teacher that I went to semi-regularly. But really, it was me just taking the trumpet everywhere and just being with it all the time and carrying the mouthpiece around and constantly, being on the horn. We always tried to pick the music so that they had a musical theme that came out of story. Clearly, we couldn't use everything that we wanted to use, but we always kind of focused on what song, what piece, what period of life is he in. It was always had to deal with story. So Robert Glasper was our composer, and he and I worked very closely together to put this together, and we just had great musicians, and the family was great and gave me just a treasure trove and allowed me to listen to outtakes and alternate takes and pieces of material that were just all great building blocks.
You took on so many different roles here: writer, producer, director, actor. I was particularly impressed with your screenplay, the rhythm of it, because the rhythm of it sort of matches the music that you're trying to do here, which is not easy to do, but there's a certain kind of poetry going on here with the words as opposed to the music.
When you have 10 years to work on a script and keep having to refine it, because we got very close with financiers along the way, and someone would say, wow, if you could just get it down to this many pages and this kind of budget, we could do it. And we'd go through the exercise and they'd go, that was great, no thank you. So that happened a bunch of times, and it really forced us in a good way, I think, to really sharpen the piece. And we never felt like we lost anything. We just felt like it got leaner and meaner and more to the root.